Hello and welcome. Today we'll be presenting our first Vibrance Health webinar, and the subject is going to be permanent weight loss. And also I'd like to introduce you to the new Shape.0 weight loss program. My name is Dr. Clair, and I'll be leading the webinar. I am very happy to be able to share this information with you. This topic is something I've been very passionate about for a long time. I hope you find this presentation informative and generate some questions. I look forward to answering your questions at the end of the presentation. Please, as the questions occur to you, write them down in the chat box and we'll get to them at the end of the presentation. Okay, well, while we're waiting for any stragglers to join us, I'd love to know who's been able to join us today on the call and where you're calling in from. So please go ahead and put those in the chat box. While we wait for that, I do, want to remind you that this is an educational forum. This is not meant as a means of diagnosing any medical conditions or treating you for that matter. You will hopefully learn something from this, and then if you decide you want to take action, you will take it up with your personal medical provider first. Okay. Okay. So I see we have Anne coming in from Newbury Park, just down the road. Nice to see you, Anne. Thank you for joining us. We have Amanda from Westlake Village, right around the corner. Beautiful. Sarah calling from Porter Ranch, a little far away, but still in the LA area. Monique from Denver. Hi, Monique. My three daughters all live in Monique, and I have many grandchildren living in Colorado. And then Greg and Karen from Naples. Fantastic. Okay, well, good to see you all. Thanks for joining. Okay, so let's get started. A little bit about me before we begin, so you can understand why this is important to me. First of all, why did I become a doctor? Well, when I was in Princeton, undergraduate, I took a year off and traveled around the world. 6 months in trains, buses, backs of trucks, and it was an amazing experience. It was the best education of my life. What I learned was that, hey, people have different ways of living, different opinions, different lifestyles, and they're all legitimate, and we can learn from all of them. So that combined with my sincere interest in biology led me to think that, well, if I became a doctor, I'd be able to spend more time in a more intimate way with people from different parts of the world and really get to know them better than you do as a tourist. So with that, I attended Columbia College of Physicians and Surgeons in New York. And as part of my education, I was reading about the Chinese medical system. And at that time, I assume it's still the same, doctors were not paid to take care of sick people. They were actually paid to keep people healthy. And when a person got sick, they actually didn't pay their doctor anymore, which made a lot of sense to me. It's like, shouldn't we really be focusing on keeping people healthy? So anyway, that became my career focus. I wanted to have a career in medicine where I was helping people stay healthy, preventive or proactive health. With that in mind, I decided, well, the best avenue for that would be in family practice, because that's, the initial contact people typically have with their doctor when they have an issue. So I started my internship in family practice at UCLA in Los Angeles, but quickly became disenchanted with it because even then, it was really about arriving at a diagnosis as quickly as possible and writing a prescription for something rather than trying to get to the root cause of the problem and help people actually recover and be healthy. It was all about basically dealing with the symptoms, but not fixing the problem. So I said to myself, I can't do this. I can't just be a glorified prescription pad. And so I was at a loss as to what to do. And so I did some soul searching, and I remembered that I really love physiology, and I really admired and felt a kinship with the anesthesiology professors that I had at Columbia Physicians and Surgeons. So I said, well, I don't know what else to do. I'm going to try anesthesiology. And I finished, trained in anesthesiology and became an anesthesiologist in Southern California. And, it suited me well. I loved what I was doing. I loved the fact that my schedule was a little bit more controllable so that I had more time with my children when they were small. I could attend, their parent-teacher conferences and go to their AYSO games and that sort of stuff. But it occurred to me sometimes that I would be giving anesthesia in the middle of the night for emergency surgery, a high-risk situation, that, if some of these people had just made better decisions in terms of their health, they wouldn't be risking their life like they were at that point. It occurred to me also that nobody was really informing people, educating them on this whole idea. And it just seemed like it fell upon me. Well, if nobody else is going to do it, then it's something that I should really be involved in. About the same time, I actually had a interesting experience. The universe was speaking to me, I guess. What happened was I had a number of patients who, within a short amount of time, as I was rolling them into the operating room to have general anesthesia for their surgery, they looked up from the gurney and said to me, Dr. Clair, I've been reading about growth hormone. Do you think I should be taking growth hormone? And at first I thought, oh, this is bizarre. Why would somebody be asking me this at this time before they're going under anesthesia rather than asking their regular doctor? So at first I just said, yeah, no, I don't think it doesn't sound good to me. But after a couple of people asked me this, I realized, okay, the universe is telling me, pay attention here. So I started doing research on growth hormone. And you know what? I became convinced that, yeah, if your growth hormone levels had declined, which they do for everybody with age, you should seriously consider supplementing with growth hormone in a medically supervised way, of course. As part of that investigation, I learned of a study that was being conducted by a physician in Florida, actually, where he was looking at growth hormone as an anti-aging agent. And it was an FDA-approved study. I contacted him and was allowed to become a co-investigator on the study. And you know what? My results were even better than what the studies were saying. People were seeing amazing results. From this, some of these same people who were paying their own money for the growth hormone, they actually said, okay, this is great, Dr. Clair. What else can we do to feel so good and feel even better? And so I started to be able to counsel them on the importance of nutrition, the importance of regular exercise, quality sleep, and those sorts of things. And from that evolved Vibrance Medical Group in 2002, which is now known as Vibrance Health. So as part of that, Vibrance has been dedicated to helping people maximize their health through proactive measures, hormone optimization, and generally without the need for medications. Why weight loss? Well, if you're going to talk to people about maintaining their health and preventing health issues, the number one health issue we have in this country is obesity. And so I've always felt the need to have a weight loss program. And I've had a number of them. The one that we are doing now is by far the best that I've ever seen anywhere. And it's not something that I invented, but I do feel like we have kind of perfected the whole program. Why is this so important? Well, body fat creates inflammation. So for me, it's really about the inflammation. It's not an aesthetic issue, okay? And there are lots of beautiful, large men and women. But the fact is, with all that extra inflammation that the body fat, leads to, everybody has a greater incidence of high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, cancer, you name it. So by focusing on weight loss, I figure I can do the most for the most people. Okay, so with all the weight loss programs out there, why is this such a big continuing problem? Well, it's due to the fact that regardless of how you lose the weight, typically we're not getting to the underlying problem. We need to start looking at the connection between lifestyle, hormones, stress, sleep, and weight. And I think apropos to this discussion, we need to look at the people and see what constellations of symptoms are they having that might give us clues as to what is the underlying reason for their weight gain. You know, people typically don't gain weight just because they eat too much. You know, typically people are not gluttons, right? In fact, usually when people are trying to lose weight, they eat less. So by eating less, they're still gaining weight. It's really not about eating too much. There are underlying reasons for it, aside from, you know, eating too much, that really need to be, you know, looked at, discovered, and dealt with so that people can be successful with their weight loss. Very often, the symptoms that I hear in conjunction with people trying to lose weight are things like, you know, cold hands and feet, which can be a sign of a hormonal imbalance, low thyroid, for instance. Many people come in with fatigue and mental fog, which again can point to an adrenal issue, so another hormonal issue. Craving carbs is another thing I see all the time. Insomnia is very common. PMS, a very common associated symptom with weight gain. Heavy periods, more painful periods, very common with women. So again, these are good clues as to why somebody might be struggling to maintain or lose weight. I wonder, again, if we could take a little poll. Do any of these symptoms ring true with you folks listening today? If so, if you would just put, you know, the things that you've noticed in the chat box, that would be great. I'd love to see. Okay, so its numbers are starting to come up, and it looks like a very common one is stubborn weight gain. So yeah, trouble losing the weight and keeping it off. Stress, that's a common one. I have to tell you, we are all under so much stress, and it's not just that we're under stress, it's that stress levels are non-stop, right? There's one stress after another all day long. Fatigue, okay, fatigue is a common one as well. Hormonal imbalances, heavier periods, things like that. Okay, good. Well, these are all, as I said, give us good clues as to why you may be struggling. Okay, so for long-term weight loss, which is achievable, we have to understand what is going on. What is the root cause, okay? And the other thing to think about is everyone is unique. It's not like everybody has the same reason why they've struggled with weight. So it's not a matter of, oh, you have extra weight you want to lose? Okay, here's the pill. It's like, well, not necessarily. You know, you haven't even investigated as to what is particularly going on with the person. You have to spend some time getting to know the person. And we need to take a holistic look at the individual as a whole person, right? Because they don't just exist in a test tube. They exist, you know, as a full person, in a family, in a society, and all these things are going to play a role. So we do want to take a comprehensive look. And along the lines of what I was saying is about we can't just, you know, think of a person as existing in a test tube. That's something I see a lot. People will often, you know, for instance, they're having trouble losing weight and they're skin is dry and their hair is falling out. And so they go on Google and they do a little research and it says, you may have a thyroid problem. So people go, oh, well, maybe I should go to my doctor. So they go to the doctor, they explain what's going on. The doctor runs some blood tests, looks at the thyroid levels. The levels come back in the normal range. And so the doctor says, well, you know what, Mary, you got to eat less, or you got to exercise more. And I can't tell you how many women have come to me basically in tears because they're already eating like a squirrel and they're working out, like an hour a day by themselves while they're also, having a trainer a couple of days a week, and the scale just not move, right? And this is the problem. The doctor is just looking at the number on the piece of paper and treating the person as if they're the same as everybody else. The fact of the matter is, all lab tests have a normal range, right? It's not a normal number, it's a normal range. And why is that? Well, that's because, hey, guess what? Everybody's different, right? There are some people that need very little thyroid hormone, for instance, and they feel great. And they're thin, got energy, they're not cold. There are other people who can feel just as well, but their level of thyroid hormone has to be much higher. And as a result, the normal range is very broad. Clinical labs really don't know how to deal with this, so they just use a standard formula to decide what the normal range is. But that formula is two standard deviations from the mean is what is defined as the normal range. Okay, that all sounds fine and dandy, but in practical terms, that translates into including 95% of all people as the normal range. Not 95% of healthy people, 95% of everybody, right? 95% of everybody is pretty much everybody, right? So if everybody's in the normal range, what does that lab test tell you? I can guarantee you this, it does not tell you, it does not tell any doctor if that number is the right number for you. The only thing it really tells you is that you're alive because you actually had blood flowing through your veins that they were able to collect. So again, blood tests do not tell the full story, but we can assess the full story by talking to people and seeing how they're functioning. Okay, so regardless of how you want to lose weight, we live in a capitalist society, so there's always going to be, people trying to figure out ways to help you lose weight. The pharmaceutical industry has been very active in this for ever. Back in the 1960s, they actually introduced people to dextroamphetamines as a way to lose weight. That's speed. That turned out to be not very healthy or helpful, so they then came up with another product called Dexatrim. And then they came up with fen-phen, which had to be pulled due to the issues, the heart issues that it developed. Another short-lived weight loss supplement was called Orlistat, which was pulled very rapidly because the way it worked was it prevented your body from absorbing any fats at all. And as a result, yes, people lost weight, but they would also dirty their pants because they couldn't get to the bathroom in time due to their massive diarrhea. Not a good idea. There have been more natural, healthier solutions such as juicing, Atkins diet, intermittent fasting. Regardless of what method that has been adopted, they all use calorie restriction, reducing the amount of calories that you're eating, which in general is not ever going to work long term, because what happens is when you don't eat enough, whether it's intentionally or not, your body senses this, and so it makes adjustments. When you don't get enough calories, your body will start breaking down muscle. Why does it do this? Well, through the breakdown of muscle, there are more calories available from the breakdown of the muscle, but also because muscles utilize a lot of calories, by reducing the amount of muscle you have, you're reducing the amount of calories you need. So your body is trying to balance what's coming in with what it needs. Once the diet is over, then the body just rebuilds the muscle, and the fat reaccumulates basically because having lost muscle, your metabolism is slower than when it was previously. So now you're even more prone to weight gain. Okay, so all of those are by itself doomed to failure. Now, Vibrance is not a weight loss clinic. We are a center focused on helping people optimize their health. And so we want to help them with their weight. So as a result, we have a much more comprehensive approach. Okay. We use, first of all, a medicine called HCG. It's actually not a medicine. It's a natural hormone that women make when they're pregnant as our way of helping you specifically lose body fat and not muscle. And that's key, right? Because you don't lose muscle, it's going to have less of an effect on your long-term metabolism. How does HCG work? Well, again, it's a natural hormone that Mother Nature invented, and we're just taking a page out of her book. In the face of famine, which fortunately for us, at least in this part of the world, is a rare occurrence, but it was not rare for our ancestors, Mother Nature built in this little safety program. So whereas normally when somebody's facing a famine, they will break down their fat, but also muscle. For a pregnant woman, she wouldn't want to lose muscle because number one, that could make it much harder to carry the baby to term, as well as to deliver the baby. So in that one specific instance, due to the effect of HCG, a woman's body will specifically and solely break down fat. Okay? Now, when a woman's pregnant, she makes boatloads, like 300,000 units of HCG. On this program, we're going to use that same natural hormone that's been around for millennia, but instead of using big doses of it, we give people really somewhere around 300 units, which is 1/1000th the amount a woman makes when she's pregnant. So it's very small amounts of a very safe hormone. Okay, but it's enough to have the same effect. So we put people on a very restrictive diet of basically they're in a famine, but due to the effect of the HCG, their body kicks in calories from the breakdown of fat. The body will kick in as much as 1,500 calories a day from fat breakdown. So when you combine that with the 500 you're going to be eating, people are actually getting 2,000 calories a day. As a result, they don't feel hungry. They don't feel tired. They feel fine. And they are just losing body fat. And we know because we check people every week when they come in. They are not losing any muscle. Okay, so that's the key to how we help people lose weight. But again, we take a comprehensive approach. So in the Shape 2.0 weight loss program, our new improved program, we combine these two. So while people during what we call phase 1 are losing body fat, we start the investigation into how they get here, what's going on. Do they have a hormonal issue? Is it a sleep issue, stress issue? And we start addressing those issues during what we call phase 2. And phase 1, by the way, can last anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks. After that, people need to take a break because the HCG will become less effective. During phase 2, we help you reset your metabolism. So you're done with the HCG, and now we're restoring a healthy metabolism. And we do that without the use of HCG, just by a very structured diet. Again, we are still getting to the root cause of how you got there. Once those two avenues have been addressed, what we added in phase 3 was basically more help, because even though people have been very successful with the program as it was, very often people are just, they're busy. They have a lot going on in their life. They have kids, they have a busy job, they have things going on. And so even though they start out with the best of intentions, very often life creeps back in, and those great habits they had started to employ break down, and they're back to doing what they had been doing. Okay, and then the weight loss comes back. So we stay with people for up to 6 months afterwards. And I'm going to want to see people on a regular basis to make sure that whatever we've addressed, whether it be a hormonal issue, a sleep issue, a stress issue, is being still, worked on and addressed, so that these new lifestyle habits that you develop become the way you live, not just something you do on a diet. This is how you live. Okay. And we have found that to be very, very helpful. We're all so busy. We're all under so much stress that giving people the support they need, we have found to be very useful. It's not at all unlike professional athletes. They're at the top of their game, but they still have coaches. Why do they have a coach? They already know it all, right? No, because they realize that sticking with the coach is going to help them stay at the top of their game. And that's what we do here at Vibrance. Okay, so again, just to kind of sum it up, the benefits of the Shape 2.0 program are, number one, we utilize a natural hormone. It's been around for millennia in very small doses, so it's very safe. We address the underlying reasons for the weight gain. You're only losing body fat, you lose it quickly, and because of this two-pronged approach, you can achieve long-term weight loss. And we've had people who lost the weight and kept it off for several years. While doing so, you are going to be reducing your risk of all those diseases that, again, I started out wanting to make a difference in terms of high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, even cancer. Okay. And finally, again, due to the coaching that we give you for the 6 months, we are helping you install a new lifestyle and eating habits that you can really adopt and make the way you function. Okay. I wanted to share with you some success stories. We've had over 1,000 people do the program now, and so we have a lot of them. Some of the people have been kind enough to allow us to share it. First of all, Nicole. Nicole was a delightful young woman who was a mother of 3 little rugrats, 3 under the age of 5, and she was struggling. She had been successful in terms of losing the weight that had accumulated during her pregnancies for the first 2. But with the third one, between the 2 little ones at home and the fact that family had just moved and they were redoing their kitchen, so they were eating out a lot, and she just could not get the weight off. She was very successful doing Shape. You can tell she looks fantastic. She feels fantastic. And now it's about 1.5 years later, she still has not regained an ounce. But there are many more. You can see testimonials from Laura and Victoria, Mike. And finally, I want to introduce you to Jennifer, one of our poster girls who did really well.
For anyone interested in prioritizing their health, Dr. Clair and the team at Vibrance are your tools. I was facing prediabetes and high blood pressure, and the doctors were telling me that I was going to have to go on medication. That wasn't an option I was excited about, and so I took the time, the effort, and obtained the support of Dr. Clair and the team at Vibrance. As a result, I lost 100 pounds. My diabetes and my blood pressure are under control without medication, and my life is better. If you're interested in this, reach out to Dr. Clair and his team.
Okay, very good. Let's see, how do I get back here? So if you are ready for a long-term solution to this weight loss journey, you're looking to only lose body fat, you want to reset your metabolism, you want to regain your health, and you want to enjoy, again, permanent results, please check us out. Okay, and to kickstart your health, for the first 10 people who do complete the free 15-minute consultation we offer to see if you're a good candidate, the first 10 will be entered to win a 30-day supply of very high quality vitamins and minerals through a company called Orthomolecular Products. Their multi is called MitoCore. It's what I take, my family takes. These are wonderful vitamins in healthy doses, and they're in the natural form. So they're much better, much more bioavailable than synthetic vitamins and minerals. So really like these. So that would be another potential gift if you come in for our free consultation. Finally, I'd love to get to your questions. So please fire away. Okay, and people have been uploading some questions. Fantastic. Okay, Monique wants to know how long does it take to lose weight with the HCG diet, and how much do they typically lose? Well, you know, again, the weight loss program, the phase 1 part of it can be anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks. During that time, women will honestly, generally within the 3 weeks, they'll lose 10 to 12 pounds of body fat. For the longer program, women will often lose as much as 20 pounds of body fat. And if anybody's ever been to the butcher and seen what 10 pounds of fat looks like, that's significant. That's like more than a dress size, right? For men, women never like to hear this, but men typically do lose a little bit more. At the longer program, men will typically lose around 30 pounds of body fat. You can do shape. Mary wants to know if you can do, I'm sorry, I misread the question. Mary wants to know if it was approved for weight loss. It has not been approved for weight loss, and that's because there's the way FDA approval works is a company has to design and conduct studies that show that their product is safe and effective. That's a multi-million-dollar proposition based on how the things are set up. So for a medication that's a natural hormone, there's not enough money in it to do such these studies. So that's a big part of it. The other thing to keep in mind is, you know, over 50% of prescriptions are written for doctors for things other than what the FDA has approved. So the fact that it's not approved is really not, in my mind, that important. The fact is, it's been around, this diet has actually been around since the 1950s. Over 1 million people around the world have done it. And we've had people with a variety of health conditions, heart disease, kidney problems, certainly, you know, arthritis and other issues, who have successfully done the program without any negative side effects. I actually had one patient who's actually a professor at a leading medical school, and he had diabetes and high blood pressure and was being treated by professors at the same medical school with insulin and medications. He completed our program, and within 6 weeks, just to the disbelief of his professor physicians, he was off his insulin and had normal blood pressure, did not need medication for his blood pressure anymore. So it is very safe. And like I say, even professors at leading medical schools are willing to give it a try. Another question is, can you do shape if you're a vegetarian or vegan? Absolutely. You don't need to be eating meat to make this work. Is it safe to exercise on the program? Another good question. Yes, it is safe. You know, people think, oh, 500 calories. I'm only eating 500 calories. I probably should not be doing much. It's like, no. The fact of the matter is you're eating 500, but due to the fat breakdown, you're consuming 2,000 calories. So I don't want you running a marathon, but certainly we do want you to get some light exercise during the program. John wants to know if HCG is works for men. Yeah, as I mentioned, typically HCG is even more effective for men than for women, even though men don't ever make HCG hormone. And then Anne wants to know, how do you keep from regaining the weight after the diet is done? And again, that's all what discovering the underlying reason for the weight gain is, addressing that. And again, in the 2.0 model of the SHAPE program, we stay with you. We check up on you on a regular basis to make sure that whatever we discovered was the issue, that you're still addressing it, and you're still adopting the healthy lifestyle that is going to allow you to maintain that healthy weight that you've achieved. Finally, another question, does SHAPE work in menopause? Absolutely. Yeah, no, I have lots of men and women who are, well, women in menopause and men who are of that same age group, and they do just as well. Absolutely. You don't have to be of childbearing age to have the benefits to the HCG work for you. Okay, wonderful. Great questions. Thank you very much for those. Finally, by all means, please give us a call. You can check out the website there on the vibrancehealth.com/webinar, or call us at the office, 805-379-0254, to sign up to have that free introductory consultation to see if you're a good candidate for the SHAPE program and possibly win the vitamins. So again, thank you very much. Have a great day.